Hello and welcome to the July Get Creative with Suffolk Public Library. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of dabbling in some of the Sumi-e painting, which is a ancient Japanese calligraphy ink painting form. It's something that is somewhat easy to pick up, but very difficult to master. It's very technical, so we will try our very best to get started with it. And this is something that, if you're enjoying doing it, I recommend you just keep practicing, repeating, doing these forms over and over again, because that's the way that you're going to get better. So we'll finish with doing a couple of these bamboo pieces here. If you want, you can also give yourself a little bit of a technical challenge. My camera would like to focus for me. Hello. There we go. You can give yourself a little bit of a technical challenge by giving a sort of gradient from dark to light with your diluted inks. But before we do any of that, what you're going to need to get set up is your ink, and you'll ideally probably want to get it set up into a few different dilution strengths. So you'll want it I have mine in about 4 strengths here, with, even though it's hard to tell in the cups, they are 4 different strengths of dilution. This one here being the most diluted, and then these here going into one which barely has any water at all, and is primarily just this black ink, which we're going to use for our darkest blacks. And then, of course, you'll want a water cup just to help rinse your brushes. I'd recommend a paper towel to help dry off your brush, get any excess ink off. You want to have an extra paper just to test anything. You're absolutely welcome to. I've got a stack of extra papers here just off to the side of the camera, as well as a stack of kind of practice papers. This was my first paper where I was just kind of getting used to the different strengths of dilution, getting used to the different strokes, so I recommend that you do a couple of sheets that look just like this, that just you're getting used to holding the brush, you're getting used to making some marks, and getting used to the technique. But let's go ahead and start with at least showing you how to hold the brush and how to make a few marks, and then we'll move on to actually doing our shapes, our designs here. We'll get a fresh sheet of paper, and I will go ahead and note, you might want to make sure that there's plenty of area around you. There's clear area around you, so you'll want to be able to make movements with your arms and your wrists and all of that. You'll want to have a nice clear area around you. You don't want to be worried about bumping into anything. So I'm just going to show you here with my second weakest ink, just so that you can see what that looks like. So the hold for the brush is like this. You'll hold it like this, and then you have your wrist very, very close to the actual tabletop surface, and you'll make your strokes like this. You can make some vertical ones like that, or your horizontal ones to get a more pronounced or wider stroke. So, like I said, I recommend that you spend quite a bit of time just practicing, trying it with your different dilutions. And kind of testing it out. This is something that goes best when you're taking your time, you're reading through it, and then you can really think about what it is that you need in the moment. So you see that this one here, this is our sort of medium to light. This one here is our lightest. So I'll show you our medium dark now. And most of these inks are going to show darker until they dry, and they'll dry a bit lighter. But and you can see me doing it here. But I'm just tapping out just the most excess, just so that I don't get a huge pool of ink in my stroke. We've got some of our sideways ones. You can see how much thicker they are than our vertical strokes. And very quickly, your water cup is going to start looking very similar to your most diluted ink, but that's all right. Now, traditionally, Sumi-e is done with very thick brushes, very thick natural hair brushes. I have, frankly, a very thin brush here today for what's considered traditional, but we'll get through it anyway. Alright. So now that we have some of our larger strokes, let's try it and just be a bit more delicate, and we'll practice with some of our thinner strokes. You can even try just different textures. You can see the way that this has an interesting texture to it, alternating the side horizontal strokes on a more stiff bristled smaller brush. But once you're happy, kind of, or you at least feel comfortable with making the first attempt, you can always come back. This is absolutely a skill that you're going to be able to continue practicing. Once you're pleased and you're ready to go on and move on to practicing, we'll move on to actually doing our form. Alright, so grab another blank page. You'll want several blank ones around just so that you can continue practicing. Like I said, this is a technique that you'll want to practice quite a bit just in order to work on your technique. But for this one, we'll want to grab a new fresh piece of paper and we'll start working on our bamboo. Bamboo is one of the traditional subjects for beginners to start learning. It's one of the four gentlemen of the subjects that is traditional to learn. So the basis that we're going to do is several large horizontal downward strokes. That's kind of what we're going to start with. I'm going to do 3. You can do however many fit in your sections. I'm going to pick with our lightest, our most diluted ink. And you're just going to come straight down. If it smudges on you, it's alright. And if it wells up like this at the bottom of your stroke, that's fine, because it will dry to look like a little bit of a shadow, and that's It'll be quite alright for the base of your section of bamboo. Now you're going to want to leave a little bit of a gap before you do your next stroke. I'm going to come down here and do another. And then I'll do another here. And if you don't like where your ink is starting to pool on you while it is still wet, you can kind of maneuver it around. If you want to, you can come back and layer back over if you want to add a bit of shadow. We're going to be doing this in what is called the boneless design, which simply means that we're not adding an outline to it, or we're not starting with an outline. So I'm going to come in and just do another without dipping back into the ink, just adding that little bit of extra shading to the one side. And it's more traditional to have odd numbered groupings. So let's add a third section of bamboo. Third stalk of bamboo. Alright. And why don't we do it in the slightly darker shade towards the back here. That way we still get our lovely negative space on this section of the paper. So once this section dries, we can add in some more shading if we'd like. I'm going to do more like this one here with just a simple, quite dark stroke on the side. And then we'll also need to fill in between our large segments. So we're going to go in with our darkest segment, our least diluted. Once our segments have dried, so here's our segments in between. And then just going to add that single line there. Let's bring it darker. If you're smarter than me, you'll start on the side opposite to your handedness. So if you're right-handed, start on the left side so that you don't risk smudging anything. I'm actually, for this one, also going to add a couple of small pieces on the side. Because we're going to have some shading. On both sides, just to emphasize that our one in the center is a little bit behind our other two. And once you have these, we can start adding in our leaves. So grab either your second most diluted, one of your two middle shades. I'm going to go in with actually my more diluted one. And so where you get to decide where you'd like your leaves to be. You want to leave some space in between each of these groupings. So we'll connect. We'll do another one here. It's kind of here in the middle. And we're grabbing one of our midtones so that we can also now grab one of our darkest and just darken them up here in the middle and give them just a little bit more shadow. And a little bit more variation. That's one of the things about working with inks, is that you really have to think about your tones, the way that your tones work together, to make sure that you're really actually giving everything that you want to give. You're establishing your tone correctly. So you don't have color or anything to separate your vision. And add one more clump right over here. Once all these are dry, we'll add our little stalks for the leaves, and we'll be done. But obviously you can keep going, you can add more details. I personally think that some of these are best done when they're more restrained, or at least it helps the beginner's technique look the best when you are a little bit more restrained with it. So that's why I'm choosing, and even though I'm teaching you, I'm still somewhat of a beginner at these techniques. And then you'll just go in very lightly because you want it to be pretty thin in contrast. And still reaching down and perhaps even crossing over some of your stalks. Again, we're doing this with our darkest shade. So, everyone will get a little bit of your ink. Please be very sparing when you're actually filling your cups to dilute. You really don't need very much ink at all. I think it goes a long way. So when you request your kit, when you get your ink, please do be very careful on preparing your setup here. It won't look like you have all that much. It will absolutely be plenty to put you through all of your practicing, all of this, even way more beyond that. And then you'll get a little bit of paper, you'll have some things to get you started. But I highly recommend if this is something that you're interested in. We have a couple of resources at the library that can actually give you a little bit more information on technique and the history, as well as there are more resources available online that you can reach out and absolutely continue exploring. Like I said, this is something that can be easy to pick up, very difficult to master. So the more that you practice, the more that you get closer and closer to the mastery of it. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again for the next one. So have a great day. Bye-bye.